So, I'm going to shield. Be careful when you do this, because like right now I could attach this to her and she won't be able to get out of the chair, but I won't do that.
What do you want?
This around the chair,
Restraint.
she won't be able to get out. I would hook it around the patient though, because it'll slide out of their lap if you just set it in their lap. Okay. I am 40 inches to the tabletop. You can adjust this table to the working height and use the numbers there, or you can always use tape measures. Okay. All right, Ms. Sutton, is it your right hand that's
It
removing?
is.
Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Let me see that right hand for you. I'm going to need you to remove your ring and your bracelet, and if you'll pull that sleeve up about halfway up your arm. So all jewelry needs to be removed, and any clothing halfway up the arm, because we're only doing hand and wrist, so that'll be fine. You don't have to actually take your jewelry off if you don't want to. That's fine, but we do need to hear you say it. And even if they have nothing on their arm, we need to hear you say it so that we know you checked that. Otherwise, we won't be sure that you didn't just, forget and got lucky. So, all right. So I'm gonna place the cassette up here. I want to make sure she's up close enough to the table to have up to her elbow on the table so that she has support. Otherwise, if the elbow's not on there, it has a tendency to pull the arm down. Okay. All right, I need you just to place your hand flat on the cassette for me. And I'm going to go ahead and kind of semi-center this up. Where do we want to center for a PA hand? Because I'm going to do hand and wrist today.
The third medical.
Third MCP joint, so right here. So I'm going to go ahead and take the third one and kind of put it to the center already. So I'm centered here and here so that I'm roughly where I want to be, and then I can make small adjustments from there. On this, you can do transverse and horizontal at the same time. And move it. Up a little bit. Okay. I want to turn this a little bit so that her arm is running straight off this cassette. I hate when it has that bend in it. Plus it changes the wrist joint a little bit, so you want to see the arm coming straight off the end of the cassette. Okay. Now collimation wise, you want to see, and particularly when y'all get ready to shoot things in here, it's not as noticeable. Well, actually you can see it on your other images too, when you're on the big cassettes, but when you're here, make sure you have at least an inch all the way around, because the collimation will clip your anatomy. So when you're doing these phantoms, make sure you're opened up, probably even a little bit wider than you would on a real person. But I want to have light extending beyond her fingertips and up a finger width or two above the wrist. So you want to make sure you include all the carpal bones and distal radius and ulna when you're doing the hand. Her fingers should be separated, but it's not a big separation, just enough so that you can see the difference in each digit. Okay? Her hands out flat, and now I need to place the marker on there. Here on the wall. Oh, that was good. My chest right there.
I was trying to move it as you were moving it.
Okay, when you place your marker, you're going to see a variety of things from the text. I do not like to see a right marker over here on this side. If you're doing the right part, then mark to the far right. If we were doing the left, then mark to the far left. Okay? So I'm going to I can place it here above the fingers, I can place it down here. It doesn't matter, but somewhere along that edge. Okay? And then our clue to come in and check will be hold still, because you don't have to give any breathing instructions now. So just say, and if you'll just hold real still, then we'll come in and check it. Okay? So that is our PA hand. Hand flat, digits slightly separated, including beyond the wrist, beyond the digits, elbow on the tabletop. Okay. Now from this we're going to do the oblique, and there's a couple of ways you can do this. If your patient can move fairly well, then it's easiest just to kind of show. I need you just to roll your hand up for me, and you want to see 45 degrees through the metacarpals. Okay, 45 degrees through the metacarpals. All the digits though should stay in contact with the cassette. Okay, they should stay in contact with the cassette. And let's see, a little bit. You want to make sure they stay fully extended, all the digits. You don't want the person to do this, because if their fingers are bent, then that closes all the joints in the finger. So you want those extended so that the joint spaces are all open. Okay. Now, in your textbook, they will tell you to again center to the third MCP. That will be a textbook answer for you, but I'm just going to show you that it's a little bit easier and can center better if you really center to this second one on here, okay? When you really do this, because when you roll up, you end up at the second one. And notice my collimation. I've got the thumb, and I opened up a little bit to make sure I don't clip that third digit. But if I centered at the third one and I slid her over, then my thumb can be really close. If I hadn't just opened it, I would be clipping her thumb now. So that's a good centering point in practicality to allow you to collimate well. Okay, elbow still on, 45 degrees through the metacarpals, all the digits in contact with the image receptor and extended. And then I'm keeping my marker in that same location. Okay? All right. Now from the oblique, we're going to go to the lateral. Now we're going to do a fan lateral. So I want my patient, I want their hand up like this, but the digits separated. If they can just turn it up, it's already positioned, but most people are not going to be able to do that. Don't just say separate your digits, because that's what they'll do. If you say separate your fingers, they'll just spread them out like that. So you want it up on its side, and then you want to show them that you're going to separate them this way. Okay? Now, you want to be able to see all of them. You would like the thumb to be more flat like this, because otherwise it's sticking up in the air and you don't get any information about the thumb because it comes up. So you want to bring it back flat so you have like a PA of the thumb, and that each of these digits is separated. Okay. Now for this one, I generally put my central ray, instead of right through the MCP joints, I come just anterior, so again I don't risk clipping the thumb or anything. I want to be sure that all the metacarpals are aligned and superimposed, and then separate your digits out. If you need to kind of go in and separate them for the patient, that's fine. If they're shaky and can't hold still, you can get, and we have plenty of sponges around here, there's smaller ones than those in that cabinet. You can put a sponge here to help give them support so that if they're shaky at all with that. Okay? And then keeping my
She's a pro.
marker there. That's just a few times.
Ready.
Okay,
Mhm.
and just hold still like that, and that will be our fan lateral. Okay. And that's the hand. So the PA oblique with a 45 degrees of rotation, and then a fan lateral to evaluate all the digits. Okay. From that, after we check that, you just go straight into the wrist. Okay, I'm going to let her relax. Now when you do the wrist, for the PA wrist, we need to have the patient either make a fist or at least draw their fingers up a little bit. If you don't do that, just kind of show you. If I just extend my arm out, see how you can see underneath that? Okay, but when I make a fist, now I'm flat and in contact. Or if I roll up, just pull my fingers up, I'm in contact. You want it in contact because if it's extended up and then you're not in contact, it closes off the carpal interspaces, so they'll be opened better if that's in contact with the image receptor. Okay. So I'm going to ask her to again place her hand up here and to just make a fist. Okay. And now I'm going to center her wrist to my cassette. And I'm going to collimate down a little bit. I don't like to see all the knuckles on here because everything is all bent under. So you've got all these fingers bent under and the knuckles, and it's a mess. And to me, it's very distracting to the eye. So I like to collimate that off. But that still leaves me, a pretty good bit above the wrist. And so I can, you're going to get about a third of the way up the forearm. Okay? If their protocol says to include more, then if they want you to include more, I would center a little higher if they want more of the forearm, is what I would do, and still not hit the fingers. Okay? And I'm going to collimate it a little bit side to side. Don't go hog wild on your collimation here. Leave plenty of room for your marker on the outside. So it doesn't have to be super, super tiny, tight collimation. Okay? But that's just your PA. So hand flat and arm flat and the hand in the fist. And that's our PA. And from that, we would do a PA oblique that looks very much like the oblique did for the hand, only we're centered to the wrist. I'm going to have her just roll up about halfway. So again, we're looking for 45 degrees through the wrist. The position of the hand now doesn't matter. They could keep the fist, they can extend the fingers, that doesn't matter. Because you're looking for 45 through the wrist. Okay? And I leave my centering the same, and I can leave my marker the same, and I would leave my collimation the same. I wouldn't do anything fancy. And that should open up The carpal interspace is here, where the navicular is, which are the, or scaphoid, which are the lateral carpal bones. And then these down here get all kind of jammed up and closed. And I know she talked about the AP oblique, but we're not going to do the AP oblique. Nobody's doing it at clinic. I guess I'll just quit asking about it. And then we want to do the lateral. Now let me get y'all to do something with your own arm for a second. If you would just put your arm out straight and look down your wrist. When you look down your wrist, does it look like your thumb is coming more anterior than the rest of your arm?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that means that this radius is here and the ulna is over here. We're going to semi-supinate, which means pull this back just a little bit to get these on top of each other. That thumb comes back just a little. It's not a huge thing, it's only about 5 degrees, but that's going to be the difference between them being superimposed and not superimposed. Okay, and this is when you can see it. If you can't see it on yourself, you see it?
You can feel it too.
Yeah, and we'll see. You may want to come look from the top on that for this so that you can see it. And it's easy to see it on your patient when you do that. So if I have her just extend her arm up on its side and place it here, I'm going to go ahead and center up her wrist. Okay, and then I'm going to just have her pull that thumb back just a little bit. And now I've got radius and ulna superimposed. You could collimate. I wouldn't even bother. I would leave my collimation the same for all of them. Okay. Here, you do this, and so you can kind of see. So if she just puts her arm up here, it looks like that. And then when you pull that back, see how that moved? And so that now they're superimposed. And then that will be the wrist. So we have 3 projections of the hand and 3 projections of the wrist. And like I said, when you tell your patient to hold still, we'll come in and look at it.
Okay.
And then we'll shoot an image also of the hand or the wrist. Just depends. All right. That's